We're here.
What's going on, man?
We're live.
None of the bitches ran out of bullets.
yeah. It's Alan right before the stream started. We're all just streaming this. I just went right. I should have made it a little more Alan with that in mind, and a little less my crazy shit. But it went from a crime intro to a murder intro. But either way, Tyler, you can see what we're here to discuss. Alan's favorite subject.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it tonight. I'll say it once. Fuck Imprint. There, I feel better now.
You got it.
I've been off work about 13 minutes, so I'm trying to get my mind right. Get the YouTube train of thought here.
Well, like I said, it takes a lot of work to be the next. What's this? Films at Home. It takes a lot of work to be the next big guy. So I'm not stopping until I get there.
It don't take a whole lot of work because I ain't putting a whole lot of work into it. I'm gonna sit here and talk fucking movies, but I'm gonna sell my fat ass so much hair. That's what I'm gonna do.
It takes this level of work. We could have easily done this recorded video. No. Let's just hit the button and see what happens. Let's go with the chat. Go through the chat before we get too far into this thing. Master of the 80s, Anthony. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Johnny's Boutique Podcast. What's going on, Johnny? Hardest working men on YouTube. 9 streams a week, and it's only Thursday. Hope you fellas are doing good. Yeah, it seems that way lately. There's just been a lot to do, but I'm sure that will not hold out. But speaking of that, Saturday, 10 p.m. with Johnny's Boutique Podcast.
Yep.
Tony Basement Blues, me, Alan. We're going to do the top 5 Criterion releases all time. The best they've ever done. They've done 1,300 whatever releases. We're going to pick the best 5. I'm going to talk to Brian, but I doubt he's going to be available at that time. But Brian's got a shitload of Criterion too. But Saturday at 10, we're going to do that. So we need more Criterion content. I'm sure everybody's doing that right now. But
yeah, Brad has 5 Criterions he likes. He's going to talk about those 5.
Yeah, I have 5 Criterions total. So those are the best. I had a little more than I thought, but not many more. Johnny's saying, what's up to everybody? Johnny's all fired up. Johnny's Boutique Podcast, the gal in the red dress in that pic. Oh, boy. One with the Imprint tattoo on her calf. They stamp their whores. They brand their whores. Dirk, what's going on?
What's up, Dirk?
Another fucking stream. Johnny, don't pull it out. That's what she said. Damn, that shard of glass looked real as hell. Yeah, I've always thought that effect was pretty good. For the time and everything. Master Z saying what's up to Johnny. Caveman, what's going on?
What's up, Caveman?
Holland, what's up, man?
Hey, Holland.
Everybody saying what's up. Benicio, what's going on, man?
The motherfucking whore Cholo.
Benicio on Friday's got his giveaway stream. So you want to make sure you're subscribed to him for that, because it's a full balloon collector's edition from Screen Factory with poster and everything, brand new.
Nice. That's for 500 subscribers, right?
Yep, 500 subscribers.
Congrats on that, man.
Anthony saying what's up. What's going on, Anthony?
What's up, Anthony?
Allie, what's going on?
Allie.
Saying hi to Allie. Damn dirty ape. What's happening?
What's up, man?
All right, so we're gonna. How did we do this last time?
You're in charge. I'm just sitting there.
I'll go through my number 5 first. Well, Alan, you do your number 5 first. How about that?
Oh, that's easy.
I bet it is.
Yeah, that's easy. Well, let me go down to the bottom of my list here. Hold on.
Let me go through it first. I'll read the synopsis. I got the back of the.
I got
the benefit of having the actual release here, but number 5 with the bullet from 2000. I wish I could rate it lower. It's The Yards.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, I would assume, are all gasping, going, "Oh my God, what is that wonderful piece of cinema with this cast and a Mark Wahlberg, Joaquin Phoenix, Charlize Theron, James Caan? Well, how could this not be a winner?" Let me tell you, it sucks. It is the most dull, boring, nothing movie you've ever seen in your life. I'll read the synopsis. Like I said, from year 2000, released from prison after taking the fall for a group of his friends, which is kind of murky. It's never really explained. Leo Handler just wants to get his life back on track, but when he takes a job with a powerfully influential Uncle Frank, Leo finds himself unwittingly drawn into the world of sabotage, high stakes payoffs, and murder. Leo is Mark Wahlberg. He just got out of jail. Again, it's murky why he was even there in the first place. The story's a mess, but he ends up going to work for James Caan, tries to go to work for James Caan. He doesn't even get started. Joaquin Phoenix, they're involved in like bid rigging and things like that. Kind of murky in the mob, whatnot. And railman on the yards gets stabbed to death by Joaquin Phoenix. Mark Wahlberg takes the fall. And then he's kind of on the run, but not really. He keeps showing up everywhere, and it's like, is he the most wanted man in the world or not? Because he just shows up places, and nobody seems to care.
He goes home like 4 times, and nobody knows.
He keeps going back to his house, and the police never stake out your home when they're looking for you. Look
at James Caan's face on that cover. He's even mad he's in this fucking movie. That's why he's way in the back. He said, "I ain't gonna be in the front. Put Mark Wahlberg up there. I'll be in the back."
Mark Wahlberg talks like a mouse. You can barely hear him. If he's on screen, you got to turn it up. It's just a bad performance by everybody. It's disjointed. It's just a mess. I don't have anything good to say about it whatsoever.
You even see Charlize Theron's boobs. That don't even help.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Runtime, hour 55 minutes. 2 hours of just a wasted
4 hours.
life.
It had to be 4 hours long.
Alan texted me when he was watching. He says, "I've been watching for 10 minutes. I feel like I've been watching for 2 days." It's a slog. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Worthless.
That cast, man, it should have been another Goodfellas. Everything he just said. The movie was ass. And I seen this cast. Like, how have I never seen this movie? This movie came out in 2000. It was originally filmed in 1998. It took 2 years to finally get released in theaters. It was directed by James Gray, Joaquin Phoenix, and James Gray, and I believe Mark Wahlberg. They did another movie a few years later called We Own the Night, which I still hadn't seen, but I heard it's a little better than this one.
It's pretty good.
He also did The Lost City of Z, which is getting a Scream Factory release. And Ad Astra with Brad Pitt, which I hadn't seen. So I really hadn't seen much of his movies. But if the other movies are anything that kind of echoes this movie, I'm not too excited to watch them. Because this movie here, man, you got a cast like this. Like I said, this should have been another Goodfellas. You got everybody in this movie. Everybody that's known for movies like this. And it just don't make any sense. There's no story. There's no interest in the story. Nothing ever happens. James Caan never does anything that kind of gets you into the movie. Everybody's born in this movie. Like I said, it felt like it was 4 hours long.
James Caan is the least to do in the whole movie. It's like he seems to not even know what the hell's going on till the very end, and he's just like, people are asking him questions, and he's just like, "Oh, I interviewed him, but I never hired him. I don't know what's going on." And it's like, well, yeah, we know you don't know what's going on. There's not even any intrigue. I don't know. It's a disaster.
The film has 4 Oscar winners: Charlize Theron, Ellen Burns, Faye Dunaway, and Joaquin Phoenix. The 2 Oscar nominees, James Caan and Mark Wahlberg. And you can't even. I mean, I can't even say that it's bad. They have nothing to work with. The story's there's just nothing there.
And Ellen Burstyn is one of the best actors ever. And again, she has very little to do.
Yeah. So this is easily my number 5, without a doubt.
We'll go through the first 3 and then we'll catch up with the chat.
Okay.
Well, number 2, a lot better than The Yards, 1990. Internal Affairs.
That's your number 4.
That's number 5. I'm sorry, there's 6. So that was number 6.
Okay.
This is number 5. We'll do the first 3 and then we'll do the second 3. Internal Affairs, Richard Gere, Andy Garcia. It's a typical, kind of a bad cop type movie. Richard Gere plays the bad cop. Like I said, 1990. Dennis Peck knows his way around the law. He can launder money, run a scam, fix a bad cop, and he can get even. And he can even, for the right price, arrange a murder. But investigator Raymond Avila is determined to bring Peck to justice. Raymond Avila, Andy Garcia goes into IA, Internal Affairs, and his first investigation is Richard Gere's character, who's a friend of his and kind of a legendary cop, but everybody knows he's kind of dirty, but not as dirty as he seemed, apparently. And Richard Gere's kind of banging everybody. It's, I thought it was just kind of a forgettable 90s type thing. But Richard Gere, as the movie goes on, you find out he's a lot more dirty than, it's a lot darker. It goes a lot darker. Like I said, it says on the back, he's basically a hitman even at some points. It's kind of like a Training Day-esque type deal. Andy Garcia is trying to, doesn't want to believe he's a criminal, but it turns out he is. And, it all ends the way you think it ends. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. There's not a lot to this one either, but a little bit better than the Yards. The Yards, I don't even know if I gave it a 1. I mean, it's horrible. This, I don't know, 2 out of 5, something like that. But this is a lot better than Yards, but I didn't have a whole lot invested in this one either. What's your number 5 there, Alan?
My number 5 is going to be Crimson Rivers.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was fixing to talk about that movie, but to move for a loop there again, we need to talk ahead of time.
Well, let's. What did you think of this one? By the way, I mean, did this hold up like you thought it would?
Yes, I actually like that one. That's actually much higher for me. Yeah, that one there's gonna be my number 3. Just spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
So, but we'll actually talk more about that one in just a minute. Let me go back. Let me go talk about my number 5. All right, my number 5 is gonna be Crimson Rivers. This is a French film, so it's subtitles. It's not very interesting, and unfortunately, you have to pay attention the entire fucking time. You have no idea what's going on. I don't speak fucking French, so I have to sit there and actually pay attention, and I'm just about bored to fucking tears. Now, it is better than the last movie, but just by a little bit. I will say there's a couple really cool visual scenes, like when they go down into this glacier, into the cave. That's a pretty cool scene. There's a couple good fights, but it's pretty forgettable. I kept myself kind of looking at my watch every 10 minutes, waiting for it to be over with. That's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. So, very best listener here, I'm gonna give it maybe a 3 out of 10 just because of the good fights. There's 2 or 3 really good fights in the movie.
There's some odd karate in it out of nowhere. Like karate style, Jackie Chan.
And the one scene where the guy in the background is playing Mortal Kombat, and they start fighting, and they're like round 1, and they're beating the shit out of each other. That fight scene was pretty cool. So I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10 just for that. The rest of the movie, it's just okay. You got how do you say his name?
Jean Reno,
Vincent Castle. Now, Vincent Castle, I've seen him in some other stuff. He was in a couple Mission Impossible movies. Some mainstream shit. He's actually a pretty good actor. I'm not going to try to pronounce the director's name. There's like 47 characters in it. You have a murder detective must follow the footsteps of a brutal killer within the secrets of a classic, whatever the hell that is, CLASSIST, classist college. I don't even fucking know what that means. And pretty much the whole movie, I'm sitting there just doing everything I can to try to understand the story. The story's not told very well. It's not that interesting in the first place. Yeah. And by the time it was over with, I finally understood a little bit what was going on. And even when I finally understood what the fuck was going on, I didn't give a shit. And then it's over. So
this is a Trini movie. This is what I call a Trini movie. Some foreign thriller where the convoluted story. He loves this stuff.
And I don't mind movies with subtitles. I watch a bunch of them. But if it's a movie that's boring and it's not that intriguing, and you can't play on your fucking phone, you can't twiddle your thumbs, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, we're also American. We're also American. We have a natural distaste for French people.
And there's a sequel to this movie.
Jean Reno, you couldn't find a more Frenchman than Jean Reno. With he talks like that. Right. You couldn't find a more French guy than him.
But there's a part 2 called Crimson Rivers 2, Angels of the Apocalypse. Came out in 2004. I'm assuming that's a sequel.
I'm gonna skip that.
But yeah, there's really very few notes I even took on this one. There's nothing that interesting about it. So
that's a good segue. So that's your number 5.
That's my number 5.
So I'm gonna get to my number 4, Crimson Rivers. Jean Reno. I just gave it us a little bit of a hair extra than Internal Affairs for the gore. This is like a prototypical year 2000 Seven ripoff. I mean, it's 100% a Seven ripoff. There's no third way of looking at it. You know, you get the opening, you know, they find a body and it's, you know, been horribly tortured, and they bring in a grizzled old, you know, legendary detective in to solve the case. And it, you know, and an eager, like, you know, younger detective, they end up being partners to work on the case together. It's very much Seven. That's the best way to describe it. But the story is kind of a mess. I believe it involves cloning at one point. I mean, it's bizarre. But again, Trent, if you're watching this, I couldn't recommend it more for you. This is his kind of deal. It's not without its charms. It's shot really well, great cinematography, the whole nine. But the story, there's a lot going on in there. There's a bunch of red herrings. Like I said, just a Seven knockoff all the way. I'm trying to remember that Vinegar Syndrome release. That was a Seven rip-off with the Highlander. What's his fucking name? That was better than this. If you like that, you might like this. But I'll read the synopsis real quick. When Francis, leading serial killer investigator, that was a weird comma there, is called to investigate a grisly murder, he enters a world of secrets, lies, and unthinkable horrors. Each murder means something more. Each victim a guilty conspirator in a grand immoral experiment. Yeah. So they went for like espionage meets Seven. It didn't work for me. Damn sure didn't work for Alan, it sounds like, but that is my number 4. See what Alan's number 4 is, and we'll catch up with the chat.
All right, my number 4 is going to be, like you just talked about, Internal Affairs. I mean, I seen this movie in theaters when it first came out. And so I hadn't seen it many, many years. And so I was a little concerned if it was going to hold up or not. I don't remember it wasn't as good as I remember it being, because I've always kind of been a fan of this movie, but it's one that I don't think I ever owned on physical media until I owned that box set for 2 weeks before I sold it to Brad. But the movie was directed by Mike Figgis. He directed Leaving Las Vegas, one episode of The Sopranos, and a bunch of other stuff I really hadn't heard of. Internal Affairs was his American film debut. He's a UK director, I believe. Stars Richard Gere, Andy Garcia, Nancy Travis. Nancy Travis has always kind of done it for me. There's something about her, especially as she uses her English accent. In this movie, she has an American accent. But Laurie Metcalf, which everybody knows is Aunt Jackie from Roseanne.
Great. She's great in everything, and she's also in. It's that she's in this. She's really good in this.
Yeah, she really is.
She's constantly, calling out Richard Gere. She's like, well, there's only one thing he likes more than drug money. It's pussy. Because he's banging all these broads and these informants and stuff.
And you also got William Baldwin and Michael Beach. Now, you also see Elijah Wood in this for just a minute. This was Elijah Wood's first movie. He was in a couple like Paula Abdul videos back in the day, but this was his first like actual movie he was in. He's only in it for a few minutes, and he's like 9 years old. So any fan of Elijah Wood, you kind of get a kick out of that. Let's see, what kind of notes did I take here? This is actually Richard Gere's favorite movie he's ever done, which kind of surprises me.
He got to bang all the broads.
You don't see him play the bad guy like this.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a pretty good job. I've always been a Richard Gere fan. Always have been. And I think it was just unique seeing him kind of go all out as a bad guy like he was in this movie. Because he gets pretty fucking dark there at the end. I'm not going to say what he does, but he gets pretty twisted.
Yeah.
Now, him and Andy Garcia did not get along at all. It said Richard Gere and Andy Garcia reportedly did not get along during filming. Some of the scenes in which they were required to hit each other, particularly the confrontation in the elevator, were allegedly for real. Garcia subsequently refused to attend the rap party. And even they didn't like each other, like I said, Richard Gere's favorite movie. Considered to be 2 of the comeback movies for Richard Gere. The other movie that came out in 1990, a movie y'all might have heard of, Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
So this was one of his 2 comeback movies. Totally different movies, by the way.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nick Nolte was offered the role of Dennis Peck, but turned it down and did another 48 Hours instead the same year.
I think he could have done better at this, but I'm still glad he did another 48 Hours instead.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that movie. And Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne and Jeff Goldblum was originally conceived as a sequel to this film when that movie was first being made.
Okay.
So that's all I got as far as notes goes. But I thought it was good. Like I said, I've always been a Richard Gere fan. Watching him play a bad guy, I thought he did a really good job. Andy Garcia has always been a weird one for me. Everything I see Andy Garcia in, I always seem to enjoy for the most part. But he's never been an actor that I get excited he's in a film. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, he's like
not
a
really my
broke-ass.
favorite actors, but he's always a good actor.
He's really good. He's always good second, third guy. He's like a broke-ass Al Pacino.
Yeah. And I thought this one was good. Like I said, when he was following the wife around, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he's following the wife around, seeing what she's doing at lunch that day, all that little interaction shit, whatever. I thought it was good. Like I said, it didn't hold up as quite as good as I thought it was going to, but it was much fucking better than those last two movies we just talked about. So this is one I will go back and watch again, for what that's worth.
Yeah, one of these days.
Yeah.
All right.
What's your number 4?
Well, that was my number. My number 4, I've already been through. My number 4 was Crimson River. So we'll catch up with the chat and we'll do the top 3. Cinemerdrome. Resurrection was the title. Yep, that's the one I was talking about. But yeah, appreciate it. All right, let's figure out where the hell we are. Allie says, I wonder if the mention of Mark Wahlberg would bring Craig out of the shadows. It's a good observation. We'll see what happens. Hey, man, saying what's up to everybody. You're saying what's up. Craig, what's up, girls? Speak of the devil. Right on time. Mark Wahlberg, there he is.
On, Craig?
Did somebody say Reese Cups? Anthony just watched We Own the Night with Mark Wahlberg and Joaquin Phoenix plus Robert Duvall. Yeah, I think you'll like it, man. It's pretty good. Ava Mendez, I think. Very saying what's going on with the caveman. Caveman loved Internal Affairs, but I'm a dumb caveman after all. I didn't think it was bad at all. A lot better than The Yards, that's for damn sure. It's almost 80s. It's not even 90s. It's almost 80s. I think it is early 90s, but that's what it felt like to me. Saying what's up, Gizmo. Pops the man. He knows. Pippi Longstocking is looking. What's up, everybody?
No idea.
We saying Gizmo. Gizmo, Anthony's a smart one and do not buy movies he don't watch right away. Everybody's saying hey to Craig. A lot of haze going around. Anthony Bragg comparing Crimson to Seven has be very intrigued. I would recommend it to Trini. It's very much a Trini movie. Trini likes that kind of stuff. But no, I would not recommend it to you, Anthony, at all. They were going for 7. It did not work that's what they were trying to rip off. It didn't work, in my opinion. Let's see here. Whoop.
Crimson, trying to compare Crimson to 7. It's kind of like comparing foot massages to the holiest of holies. Just to give you an idea of how far apart that is from me. So.
Yeah, it damn sure is not 7. Caveman says he's French on his father's size. Lebre, yeah. My name translates to follow the cheese. Well, that makes sense. Anthony, another movie you guys should check out, Richard Gere and Brooklyn's Finest.
I've not
seen that. I got that confused with this. Maybe I haven't seen it. I don't know. Scalder, what's going on?
What's up, Scalder?
Craig dropping his top 3 Reese's candies. In case anybody was worried, in case anybody was concerned with that, it's on his business card if you ever meet him. Gizmo, Anthony, I worked with the director Kasovitz. He who made the Crimson River. I worked with him on Babylon AD, TCR, Grid Thriller. I imagine Gizmo likes Crimson River also. Okay. Anthony, I'll have to check it out, man. Yeah, maybe you'll like it. Like I said, I couldn't recommend it less. So I see here I've accidentally banned Allie.
Yeah, I just think Allie was banned and her comments were removed. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know how I did that, but we will work on getting that changed right away. I don't know how the fuck I even did that. I guess clicking on your comments, it must hit something with my. She's banned for all her outrageous fucking comments. Anthony, yeah, I saw We Own the Night in the theater. It was very good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Hey, Trini, what's going on, man?
What's up, Trini?
Caveman movies and more. Alan, have you seen Richard Gere in Red Corner?
Have not.
I'm not familiar with that one either. All right, let's. I'll do my number 3 here. All right. My number 3 from 1990, Blue Steel. And no, this is not a movie about dick pills. Like I kept thinking it was some kind of erotic thriller or whatever. But it's kind of a weird one. When rookie cop Megan Turner, that's Jamie Lee Curtis, shoots a burglar dead. When they say rookie cop, it's her first day. She shoots somebody dead. She isn't aware someone has been watching a psychopath who draws Turner into a deadly game of wits. Basically, what happens is on her first day, she shoots a convenience store robber dead, and his gun falls, in front of this other guy who I guess is in the throes of mental illness, who's a stockbroker, and he takes the gun and becomes like a murderer with it. Like he thinks it's a sign from a higher power or something. And then he ultimately ends up dating Jamie Lee Curtis. And this is all given away in the trailer. So I'm not giving away anything else. I thought the story was kind of bizarre, but this one didn't do it for me either. But this set didn't do it for me either. So let's be honest. Let's get to that point. So I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. It's a weird one, man. I don't know. I think they thought Jamie Lee Curtis in a police outfit, would look good and would, be a winner, but that's as far as it goes for me. And so you get some decent shootouts and stuff. The guy is really good. The guy that plays the killer, he has this role and he really takes it to heart. Almost, it really works. His stuff works. But again, it's like his motivations are, I guess, mental illness. I don't remember too much about it, but it's kind of forgettable for me. Alan, what was your number 3?
My number 3 is actually going to be Narc.
Okay.
Yeah. Narc came out in 2002. Hold it up for me. Now, one thing I did not realize about this movie is Tom Cruise was a really big fan of this movie. He was such a big fan of it, he became an executive producer. And he was so impressed with the story and the script. Like I said, he became the executive producer. Director Joe Carnahan, I think how you say it. He did Smoking Aces, the A-Team movie, The Gray, A Cop Shop, which I hadn't seen, came out in 2021. This movie stars Ray Liotta, Jason Patric, Chi McBride. Is that bald-headed black guy? I've seen him in some other stuff.
Yeah.
He was in Waiting. He was the guy in Waiting, that comedy movie. He was the philosopher cook in the back or whatever.
Yeah.
Best part, one of the best parts of Waiting.
He's great in a lot of stuff.
You also get Busta Rhymes in this.
Yeah.
This is the same year the Halloween Resurrection came out. And he also had a small part in Blade, which I didn't realize. But so I guess you would say that 2002 was the year of Busta Rhymes.
That's the year
his breakout.
He was on top of the world.
So but basically when the trial goes cold on a murder investigation of a policeman, an undercover narcotics officer, Jason Patric, is lured back into the force to help solve the case. You got back and forth with him and his wife, whatever. His wife don't want him to come back.
Yeah.
He went through a lot of bad shit when he was a narc before. He kind of got out, and he's been home for like 7 months. He was kind of recuperating from it. He has a small baby, and he's getting pulled back into this world again. Him and Ray Liotta are kind of partners in this. And I love Ray Liotta and everything. I thought he was good in this. I thought both of them were good in this. Jason Patric is kind of a weird one for me. I knew him from Rush. I knew him from obviously The Lost Boys and that movie that we watched from the last box set. I'm sorry, it was the last box set. What's it called? When he was in, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Very forgettable. That was a very forgettable movie. He was probably I'm not gonna say my least favorite part of this, but you could have replaced him with just about anybody, and it wouldn't have changed things for me that much. He was just okay. I mean, he's not one of my favorite actors. I love him in Lost Boys. Past that, yeah, take him or leave him. He was good in Rush. Anyway,
he doesn't have many lines in Rush. If you watch Rush, it's just him in the throes of drug addiction, like laying on furniture, and then he'll step in and say, "Hey, man, we paid for the dope." And then it's mainly a Jennifer Jason Leigh movie, in my opinion. Rush.
Yeah, the movie's pretty dark. It's it's kind of what you think. It's a narc type movie, so there's a lot of drugs and a lot of like scummy parts of the world. But the best part of the movie is when they go into the one dude's house who set his wife's wig on fire, and they go back in the room. He's assed out, and he's just looking for a bump, and he's talking about how the wife look what the guy did, look what she did to my Jimmy. And he's like poking it out to Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta's like, please holster that thing, And you got to see the scene. It's worth the price of admission. That one scene alone. The movie's really good. The movie's enjoyable. It's definitely one I'll go back and revisit again. Just because it's number 3 on this list don't mean I didn't enjoy it, because it was really good. But both Ray Liotta and Jason Patric participated in this film for nearly no money. In fact, at one point during production, the cast and crew's paychecks weren't coming through due to legal and budgetary issues. So Liotta and Patrick worked for free because they liked the writer-director Joe Cardahan and didn't want to see his career ruined by the shutting down of the movie. So how often do you see that?
Yeah.
Let's see. And I started talking about this earlier. I'll finish talking about it. Tom Cruise was so impressed after seeing the movie that he took on the role of executive producer and made sure the movie got a wider release than originally planned. He also convinced director Joe Cardahan to take on the director's chair for Cruise's upcoming Mission Impossible 3 movie, 2006. However, not long after the production started, Cardahan left the set due to creative differences with Cruise. So obviously they didn't get along after all. Ray Liotta gained 25 pounds for the role by eating foods heavy in carbohydrates. That does work, by the way. Before he would shoot for the day, he prepared by eating Chinese food because of soy, and the food helps to retain water and give him that puffy look, which later in life he mastered.
Yeah,
rest in peace. He also wore a fat suit under his clothes at all times, as well as prosthetic skin under his eyes to give him that aged baggy look. Again, this movie was done 20 years later, no makeup needed.
Yeah.
The film had a record 21 producers. There were more producers for this film than there were speaking roles in the movie.
Yeah. It was a big struggle financially to get the money to do this movie.
Since the movie has such a low budget, and the scene where Jason Patric is running around with a photograph, the people he was asking were passerbys, not actors. So the people would genuinely look at him like they had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
He was just running around with a picture and they were filming it. The rundown audio part shot where the final scenes of the film take place was an actual abandoned chop shop that the filmmakers located in Toronto. Jason Patric claimed that it was the most miserable, uncomfortable environment he had ever filmed in. And you see some of the shots from The Lost Boys, that's saying something.
Yeah.
The word fuck and variants are said 298 times in the film.
Yeah.
And of course, a couple years before, Jason Patric played an undercover narcotics agent in Rush. So kind of a similar type role. So the movie's good. It's dark. The ending, I kind of seen the ending coming. It didn't really surprise me that much.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a pretty solid flick.
Yeah, so there's a twist, and then it twists a little further, and that's the ending. But
yeah.
Let's see. My number 2 is Narc. Year 2002, a suspended police narcotics officer is reluctantly drawn back into the force. Again, it opens with him, Jason Patric, as in his full narc mode, and a guy with like some horrible drug. I don't remember exactly what the drug was, but he had like syringes full of it, and he's running from Jason Patric, and he just starts like stabbing bystanders with it to try and like leave them behind, so he'll have to help them. And Jason Patric is like flailing his gun, just kind of wildly shooting at him, and he hits like passersby. Right from the beginning, you kind of know how dark it is, and it's kind of like he's trying to get an office job, a desk job, and instead of his pension, he's trying to get a little bit more money, but he doesn't want to go back on the street. But they need him for this case because a police officer was murdered, and he was a friend of Ray Liotta's character, so Ray Liotta wants on the case, and they again reluctant partners. Jason Patrick, I don't buy him in anything. I think he's terrible. I think he's a horrible actor, and he just I don't know. He should have been on Melrose Place or something. He should have been a soap opera actor. That's my opinion of his range. But Ray Liotta's good in this. My favorite scene is the drugged out guy in his bathtub that breaks his crack pipe and decides to use a shotgun as a crack pipe instead and ends up blowing his brains out by accident. That's my favorite part. But you get a lot of cop jargon, and Ray Liotta's like the grizzled old veteran with a heart of gold type thing. I like it. I'm not, I have a DVD of this. That's fine. That's as far as I go with this. I'll end up getting rid of this set, basically because I have the one movie in the set that I think is worth keeping on another format. But this is a critically acclaimed movie. I see why people like it a lot. It's just not crazy rewatchable for me. The scenes where Ray Liotta and Jason Patrick go and interview people are really the best scenes. Like there's a scene where they find this cracked out gun dealer, and they go, everywhere they go, they got to whip somebody's ass. And, it's very, very dark, very gritty. If you're into that, it's supposed to be Detroit. It's shot in Toronto. The whole thing is miserable. Everybody's freezing the whole time. It's disgusting. It's gross, but it's the second best movie in this set. I don't know what I gave it, 3 out of 5, something like that. But I would recommend this one. But it's just fell short of being number 1 for me. Alan, what was your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be The Way of the Gun. Yeah. I know you're going to disagree with that after hearing your thoughts of the other movie you just talked about, but I really enjoyed this movie. But it kind of fools you a little bit. When the movie starts, that opening scene,
yeah,
I thought we were getting something different than what we actually got.
Yeah, I hate that opening scene.
But the opening scene, I thought that was going to be the vibe of the movie. And all of a sudden, it just totally twists. Totally different movie. That's
I feel like they shot that and went like, we need something to grab people at the beginning or something. You know what I mean? And then it's a totally different movie after that. It makes no sense why those characters would even be there. Why would they be at a bar in the first place? These guys don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and their personality, while they're on the back of that car and or the front of that car and they're laughing and shit, it just didn't match their personality with the rest of the movie. It didn't really matter. But so that was a little strange. That's about my only gripe. The movie's good. It's exciting. If you get a shitload of gunplay. The gunplay was pretty accurate. The way they held the gun, the finger care, didn't put the finger on the trigger a lot.
Yeah,
they always counted their bullets. Anytime except for one scene, there was one scene where they just went all ass out, whatever, and never shot like crazy. And that was kind of a throwback to old action movies.
Yeah,
but all the rest of the time, if it's a 6-shooter, they're shooting 6 shots, etc. So they try to be very accurate with that. They actually had. Well, I made a note on it here. Let's see. Yeah, Christopher McQuarrie, the director's brother, was a United States Navy SEAL, and he was the technical advisor for the gunfight scenes. Hence the realism of the coordinated movements and shit like that. So they put a lot of work into that, and it showed. The movie was directed by Christopher McQuarrie. He did Jack Reacher, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Mission Impossible Fallout, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 coming out. He's also going to do Part 2. So he's joined at the fucking hip with Tom Cruise. This was his The Way of the Gun was his directorial debut. So if you're fans of all those movies, which most people are, you hadn't seen this movie, you owe yourself to go back and watch the first thing he's ever done. If you're a fan of that director, you got a really great cast here. You got Ryan Felipe, which I think is a big pussy. I always thought he was a big pussy. And it kind of shows that when he falls over, that glass falls in his arm, he almost throws up. It kind of proves it.
They tried to rough him up a little bit. They tried to grow some stubble. They tried to put him in dirty shirts and stuff, and it's just like he's just a pretty boy bitch. There's no way.
It's kind of weird casting having him in this movie. I thought it was a little weird.
He didn't want to get typecast. That's why he took this. He says that, and they actively try to make his character dumb too. Where it's like, well, he's a pretty boy, but he's an idiot. He kind of follows the lead of
Benicio. Yeah, and over the last, I say 5 or 10 years, I've become more of a fan of Benicio del Toro. I think he was perfect for this movie.
Yeah.
And his character was absolutely perfect for this movie. Juliette Lewis, I've always liked Juliette Lewis. Most of the stuff she's done, she's not really Juliette Lewis in this.
No.
Most of the time she's just pregnant and crying and having a baby.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is her dad's in this. those of y'all didn't know, Jeffrey Lewis is her dad in real life, but in this movie, James Caan plays the dad, which I thought was kind of weird. I got on her that Sarah Silverman's in this. Sarah Silverman's that open 5-minute shot, and you never see her again.
She gets punched in the face by Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, and let's see. The plot of the movie: got two criminal drifters without sympathy get more than they bargained for after kidnapping and holding for ransom the surrogate mother carrying a baby for a very powerful, shady man. That's your plot. As you've seen in the first 30 seconds of Brad's intro, you get a lot of gunplay. And by the way, that the shootout at the very end where he jumps into that little fountain with all the glass, that's the same shootout of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid where they filmed
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I got quite a few notes on this one. I'm just going to go through them real quick. The unusual car chase scenes after the kidnapping, where Benicio del Toro's was Benicio del Toro's idea. He suggested this to the writer and director Christopher McQuarrie after watching Cops from 1989, where a couple of criminals did the same when cops were chasing them. When they get out of the car and they got a foot on either side, and they're just kind of gliding. It was kind of weird.
Yeah,
but it was kind of intriguing at the same time. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah,
a little weird. You gotta watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Already read that part. By accident, Ryan Felipe punched Sarah Silverman in the opening scene. She got knocked out, and when she woke up, he was standing over her almost in tears. The makeup department used fake blood, and the huge lump on her chin was a continuity bonus. Felipe apologized for a week. Unlike many movies with action-packed gunfights, every round fired is accounted for, and all characters reload when appropriate, with the exception of one sequence in the brothel courtyard where Parker, Ryan Felipe, and Benicio del Toro fired dozens of rounds in rapid succession without pausing to reload, an intentional sort of fan tribute to classic action movies. And actually, the names of the main characters, Parker and Longbow, are the real last names of Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's
the final shootout scene I already said was at the same place. I already said that about James Caan being the dad. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, this movie is pretty badass, and it I may regret not putting this as my number one, but I did like the other movie a little bit better. That probably nostalgia played into that just a little bit, because this is the first time I'd ever seen this movie. The other movie I'd seen many times. But yeah, this movie was badass. It's one that I am going to put in my collection. I don't own it right now because I gave this set to Brad, or we traded for it. But yeah, this is a badass movie. If you're fans of movies like this, you definitely owe it yourself to check this one out, man. This was a damn good one. So damn good one.
Well, my number one, Way of the Gun. I was hoping this was some kind of upgrade buying this set, because I love this movie. I'd love to see a 4K. Let's see a 15K. I don't care. I've been watching this movies forever. The beginning, I will give Alan 1,000%. Makes no fucking sense. I think that should have been an after credit scene, or a credit scene or something like that. Like they shot it and they should have realized right away it doesn't work. There are some problems with this movie. The score makes this movie feel like it's Shawshank Redemption. That's what they think. They think that they're doing something huge here. But it's a grimy kind of crime movie. I mean, I've always loved it. 2000. Parker and Longbow, they basically have this opening monologue where they explain that they're on a pursuit of they're going down a different path, and they don't want to work regular jobs. They want to try and find one big score and take it, and they finally do. Juliette Lewis is a surrogate mother for a rich oil and steel family, and they decide they're going to kidnap her and ask for $15 million in ransom, which is another good crime movie. You can't have a crime movie without big bags of money. And this movie is Jedi level when it comes to having big bags of money. I mean, you believe that's $15 million. They have trouble carrying it around. They load it into trucks to transfer it. I mean, it just seems heavy. I mean, it would be. Imagine a big bag full of like printer paper, how heavy that would be. That's what the money would be like. And I love that little touch. Alan said all the tactics are very realistic as they can be for movies. Their little movements and all that stuff. I love that. I love that they're constantly reloading because that's what you would be doing. One thing Alan didn't mention, which is a movie called Thief, which I love. I'm a huge fan of Thief. This to me feels like a spiritual sequel to Thief because James Caan is in this. He was in Thief, and he kind of walks off into the night at the end of Thief. I place this as a sequel to Thief because, the character James Caan is playing talks the same way, the same matter of fact, short dialogue. He's got a scar on his neck. I mean, everything about it to me feels like it could be, a spiritual sequel to Thief, and that's the way I look at it. I love that character, and I've always wondered what happened to him, and then, to me, this is what happened to him. But yeah, man, all the gritty gunplay, all the banter between them, they look at the pile of money, and one of them says there's always free cheese in a mousetrap. They always have these little witty lines they're saying back to each other. One guy asked the other guy what do you think about the plan? And he says, I think a plan is just a list of things that don't happen. And then they just take off. Another thing Alan didn't mention is the Abner character, which I love that character. Abner character is played by Juliette Lewis's father. James Caan needs a second guy. Short notice, he needs a second guy, and he's got a long list of names, and at the bottom is Abner. Not Abner Smith, whatever, it's just Abner. And he calls Abner to get him out, to help him with this, this kidnapping situation. James Caan works for the family of the surrogate. Abner is at home in his trailer house, which could be generously called a trailer house. It's basically a shed, smashed van in the front yard, and he's got a pillowcase, and he's filling it full of revolvers with one bullet each in it. 6 revolvers with one bullet each, and he's putting them in the pillowcase. He spins the pillowcase around, and he starts playing Russian roulette, just grabbing different revolvers out. And then the phone rings, and he's just sitting there, and the phone is ringing forever. And he just finally, he's looking at the phone. He clicks a gun. He looks at the phone. It's still ringing. He's like covering the side of his head because he doesn't want to ruin the lamp next to him. He's got a gun to his head like this, and he like puts his hand up like his hand will stop the lamp from getting ruined. I just, if you nothing else, see the movie for that scene alone. And he finally answers the phone. He goes, Joe, what's going on? Oh, I'm not busy at all.
I may be a little drunk, but I'm not busy.
I'm a little drunk, but I'm not busy. I don't know. Anyway, man, I love this movie. I love a movie with a big bag of money that people are trying to steal. I think it's great. We don't get very many crime movies. This is a real deal crime movie. The criminals are well drawn. They're ruthless. They're relentless. They don't care who gets killed, what they have to do. They're not excited to kill people, but they'll do whatever they have to do to get that money. And I love that about this movie. And it's my number one. It's not even close with the rest of them. This is a 4-star, 4 out of 5 for me. The rest of them are, 3s and 2s and stuff. Maybe 1, 3, and the rest are 2s and 1s. But yeah, I'd love to see a 4K of this. But this is not reason enough to get this set, in my opinion. I'll be moving on with this set. I have another release of this. The scan isn't any better with this. The features are exactly the same. But Alan, what is your number one?
My number one is going to be Blue Steel. I've always been a fan of this movie. I had not seen this movie in years. Now, did it hold up as much as I was hoping it was going to? Not quite, but it was still good enough to make the number one. And it'd be that Way of the Gun. Like I said, I could pretty much interchange those two as my number one. This movie stars on Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, I will say this: I'm not the biggest Jamie Lee Curtis fan. She has nice boobs, but she's not the best actress in the world, and that kind of bleeds through in this movie without Michael Myers as a co-star.
Yeah.
You kind of see that she's really not one of those upper echelon actresses. She's just not. And this kind of shows that a little bit. What saves this movie for me is Ron Silver. Ron Silver always plays a slimy greaseball bad guy, and he's never been more slimy than he is in this movie here. Ron Silver died young. He died in 2009 of esophageal cancer. And I was always a fan of Ron Silver. He was great in Silent Rage. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what else he was in. But I was saying there's 4 or 5 other movies of his I've always enjoyed. Time Cop, he was good in Time Cop. The Entity, he was good in that. But also stars Clancy Brown. Any movie's got Clancy Brown in, I'm going to pretty much be a fan of. And also you got Richard Jenkins in this. You probably know Richard Jenkins. He was one of the business guys from A Cabin in the Woods. Guys that were kind of running the show. Tom Sizemore's in this for like 30 seconds. He's like in the opening shot. He's the guy's robbing the store in the beginning. You got a pretty solid cast. The movie was directed by Catherine Bigelow, and Catherine Bigelow's done all kind of great shit. Near Dark, Point Break, The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, a lot of others. So you got a great director here. But you got a rookie cop in the police force, must engage in a cat and mouse game with a pistol wielding psychopath who becomes obsessed with her. And the screenwriter Eric Red said this is pretty much The Hitcher, but just with a female. So it's just a female version of The Hitcher. I don't really agree with that. I can see that a little bit, but it's not in the same fucking ballpark as the fucking Hitcher by no means.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. The Hitcher, he's not crazy. He's just evil. This guy's crazy.
This was originally set to be a Vestron Pictures release, and its offshoot labeled Lightning Pictures, but ultimately acquired by MGM due to Vestron's financial problems with an eventual bankruptcy at the time. The villain has a lot of similarities to the real-life NYC serial killer David Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam and dubbed the 44 caliber killer by the media. But like the Son of Sam, the killer in the film is referred to as the 44 Magnum killer by the media, commits his crimes in New York City, appears to hear voices, as the Son of Sam once said he did, and taunts the police. Now, Ron Silver does get 100% creepy in this, like when he kills a whore. And he gets her bloody clothes and just rubs it all over him. That's the part I really remember from this movie.
Yeah.
And it's just as creepy as I remember it being. You know, when he's working out and he starts to hear the voices, just the face he's making while he's working out, whatever, you can tell this motherfucker is gone. When he shows, a little bit of a spoiler alert, when he shows up at the parents' house, you know, that little interaction back and forth, whatever, there was some good tension. It wasn't quite as good as I remember it being, but it still held up. Again, Clancy Brown, not his best movie by no means, but it's still Clancy Brown. What else do I have here? That's pretty much all I got as far as the notes goes. But yeah, the movie's good. Jamie Lee Curtis, again, you really just pay attention to her character in the beginning of the movie. She does the third act of the movie. Her acting is a little bit better, but for the most part of the movie, her acting is just very subpar. I never thought she was a great actress. She's pretty much as big as she is because of the Halloween franchise. I'll stand by that. I liked her okay in Trading Places, but you take out Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy, and she doesn't do anything for the film.
Oh, come on, man. True Lies.
True Lies was the best thing she's ever done.
But it's not everybody else.
It's
not everybody else. It's her. It's her that made True Lies great. It's not everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not Tom
She's
Arnold.
been in good movies with a great cast.
Yeah.
And she's been in Halloween.
Yeah.
You know, her mom and dad's famous. That helped.
Yep.
But
yeah, big time.
But like I said, I enjoyed the movie. Going back and kind of after me and Brad talked about it a little more, I probably should have put Way of the Gun number 1, but I'm gonna stick by Blue Steel my number 1. So those two were definitely the best of the set by no means.
So without a doubt, I was not impressed as impressed as I thought I would be with this set. I really thought I was going to like it a lot more. I mean, I hadn't seen Narc in a long time, and I'm like, at least if these are like those movies, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. If they're like, if they're all like similar movies, they're really not similar movies. It's just kind of not like some of these are from 1990, some of them from 2002. I mean, we're talking movies fresh off the 80s to 2000 that are it's a totally different ball game, totally different
absolutely
movies. So, I think they kind of it's a miss for Imprint with this. It's a nice box set and everything. It's definitely not going to stay in my my collection. Ray Liotta, trying to be fat. You just wait until he got fat.
All carved up.
Yeah, he's all carved up there. But that movie has all the tropes too, like what's his stupid fucking name? I don't remember his stupid name, but him and Ray Liotta are like he's trying to get back on his feet, try to remember how to shoot a gun, whatnot. He's trying to shoot a target, and then in pops Ray Liotta in the stall next to him, and it just like all three were dead center right in the head over and over again. I don't know. It's very tropey too, but let's catch up with the chat and get out of here. Oh man, Allie's still banned.
You got to figure out how the hell you did that.
I will work on that, Allie. Trust me.
Anthony, let Allie know we didn't mean to, or he didn't mean to fucking ban her. I'm just sitting here. That
was definitely me that did that. Craig, when I die, I want to come back reincarnated as Reese's Cup. Oh my God. And then Tommy Weedit. Yeah. Caveman Movies and More. Craig found Tommy Star's YouTube. I absolutely loved your collab videos. Yeah, he's an amazing singer. Yeah, he really is, man. He can really sing. He's all lungs. He's got about 8 sets of lungs in that body of his. Caveman, apologies in advance for following not for the following synopsis, but I highly recommend Red Corner. If y'all want to read the Red Corner synopsis, you can definitely check that out in the chats. This Center Murderum, random, but the true story of Rush is based on that. On actually happened in my hometown back in the late 70s. Oh, okay.
And if I want to see a movie like Noir, I'm just going to watch Rush.
Yeah,
I think Rush is so much better, and so.
Well, I mean, it just depends on what you're in for. I mean, Jason Patrick sucks. I can't say that enough. I think he's terrible. I don't believe him in anything. The story, there's a reason it couldn't get big money because the story's kind of weird. It needed work. I felt like the script needed work, but it's sure gritty, sure dark if that's what you're into. Caveman targeting more. It must have been more. That's more of his synopsis. Anthony, haven't seen Noir in a long time. Remember being pretty good though. It's very gritty, grainy. Yeah, it's a slimy ass movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Hart, Way of the Gun, great film. Oh yeah, it's a good one.
What's going on, Jamie?
What's up, Jamie? She says nice take biddies. Jamie Hart, of course. Holland. They can save the world, Holland. Everybody loves the bounce.
Yes. Makes a bad day good.
Jesus Christ, perverts. Jamie Hart, oh, you fancy box. Yeah, it's a really nice set. Not great. Jamie Hart, what Richard Gere movie is in that box set? Internal Affairs, 1990. No, Jamie Rush is in the previous set, the volume 1 of this. It's a giant pink box. Neo-Noir Cinema Collection, volume 1. That's all we got. Just wanted to do a review after the resounding success after the first box set review. And just like the end of that video, I can tell you that this will not stay. I'll be selling this off. If would I recommend the box set? No. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody because these movies are so far away from each other. It's not like they even go together. The first set, a little more cohesive as far as those movies being similar. These are not very similar. This seems like they just had these titles and went, let's do another box set.
Yeah, and that box set went for like $159. It probably goes for $200. It's out of print. It probably goes for $200 now. So it's definitely way overpriced.
Yeah, the previous one I sold used for $150.
Yeah.
I would have taken a lot less than that, but that's what they're going for. So sold it, and I'll sell this one for $150 most likely. But they're like I said, I can't recommend this company. Damn sure can't recommend the company Imprint, and I can't recommend this box set. Their releases, they're okay. All these features were, old features that they ported over. Yeah. What's the point of this? Why was this so expensive? Why are their releases so expensive?
If you look on the back of their releases, the scans are usually from the major studios. They just copy the scans, or they don't do their own scans or anything like that. At least the ones that I've paid attention to.
Yeah, so this is another big FU to Imprint, and hopefully, I would tell you to buy it. If I thought it was great, I would tell you to buy it. Even I buy Criterion releases every once in a while, and I hate Criterion. So it's not the company being trash, sure, but this is not worth your time. Way of the Gun has a studio release that's just as good as this.
On Blu-ray. $20 or less.
Grab that, and then just leave the rest of these behind. We'll make sure we're caught up with the chat, and we'll hit the button. Well, I'm sure you can find that synopsis, Caveman. Just IMDb it. Jamie Hart, dang, I don't want to pay the prices like that. Yeah, this thing, I mean, I think you can get them for around $150 used. I wouldn't waste your time, frankly. I'd get a better release. Rush has a Kino release. If you're looking for a copy of Rush, I'd just get the Kino or Code Red or whatever it is. You can get it on the Kino's website or Amazon on Blu-ray.
But one thing I can definitely attest to, because I used to buy all their shit, is Imprint titles are way overpriced.
Yeah.
They really are. Now, don't get me wrong. They do a good job with the packaging. They got some good movies, some movies I'm definitely going to keep, but just be warned, their prices are not cheap.
This will be the last time you hear Alan from Pops Movie Dungeon talk about Imprint films. Ever. He's never going to mention them ever again.
Yeah, probably not. Unless you go to my eBay page, they're mentioned quite a bit on my eBay page right
now. By the way, their mothers are whores, and I'm selling all their titles.
Right.
On that note, I'm going to hit the end button. I want to thank Alan for coming on and doing this with me, even though he hates Imprint, and rightfully so. I appreciate it because I wanted to hear what he had to say about these. And we have a very similar ranking. Way of the Gun, Blue Steel. Definitely check it out. It's interesting. Mech Pilot. Good to see you. Never bought Imprint because they don't what Arrow does. Yeah, I don't know. Arrow's the much superior company. I hope that's what you're saying. Trini says, Brad, I'm leaving your favorite place, Barnes & Noble. I bet you loaded up on the Criterions. Trini,
my Barnes & Noble's here has no movies.
Everybody shamed Trini. Trini was supposed to be in the stream Saturday with us, the top 5 Criterion releases.
Why you call that man out?
He's not available. He can't do it. If you find time, Trini, I hope you'll jump on with us. I send you the link. Jason's a maybe. Me, Tony, Johnny for sure, Alan, maybe Jace, maybe Trini, maybe Brian. Kind of doubt Brian because he's not available on weekends, nights usually. So. But we're going to do the top 5 Criterion releases on Alan's channel, my channel, on Saturday at 10 p.m. this Saturday. So it should be a good one. Like I said, we have everybody from diehard crazy Criterion people to don't even like the company. So I think for generally people like, that don't go crazy for Criterion and don't have 55, 60 other titles, and they just want the gems in the set, I think this is going to be good for you because you're not going to have Criterions. You're going to have, more kind of average Criterion fans than, the crazy diehard that have to have every French black and white movie where a woman loses her handbag at the Eiffel Tower in 1954 type movies.
Yeah. And I guarantee you that my 5, you're not going to be required to get a PhD in Mid-Eastern film, whatever the fuck, to understand the movie. My movies are going to be, probably a lot more like, no shit. Of course he picked that movie. But, because some French film from 1935 ain't making my cut.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So my Criterion is definitely more on the goofier side.
It's pinkies down for this stream. You don't need a monocle to watch this stream.
Yeah. So, but it's still going to be fun to talk about,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We need to get it over with. Get that top 5 Criterion because 1,300 some titles. I don't have even 10 of their titles. I should tell you to me what I think of that.
And me, I'm a fucking completionist. So I did my first big Criterion haul. I say big, I probably got 15 titles. I had like 2 titles before I did that. I'm thinking to myself, me and my list. I start going out there and looking and go, well, maybe I can start collecting all these motherfuckers. I started looking at some of the titles and I couldn't even fucking pronounce them. And then I seen, 1929, 1930. I said, I'm probably not going to do this.
Yeah.
So I backed away from that real fucking quick.
Yeah, they're not my bag, but anyway, I'm gonna hit the button. I appreciate everybody watching, and there'll be more later.
Later, everybody.